I don't know, Michael. We're having. Oh, here it says we are live right now. I just got a notification. So, folks, thanks for tuning in here. We have all kinds of technology issues going on right now. Well, we were getting ready to do this. Any of you have Microsoft Office 10? This dang laptop here decided to do a Microsoft update, and it's been doing it now for over a half hour. So I'm trying to do all of this on this itty bitty little phone thing here. And we got Michael over there. He's monitoring that computer and a page. And hopefully somewhere along the way, my computer gets to a full screen, because when you're old like me, trying to look at this is tough. But I'm going to go for it and see if I can do it. This is, let's see, episode 5 or part 5 of the whole idea of hunt elk every year, right? We want you to go hunting elk every year as part of a strategy. Oh, look at that. It says it's going to work, but I don't believe it. As part of a strategy where you apply in whatever limited entry tag drawings your budget allows, and then if you don't draw, you figure out, okay, how do I get a limited an over-the-counter or a general tag in one of the states like Colorado or Idaho. So there is no reason everybody can't be hunting elk every year. And from memory, without my computer, I'm going to try to remember all of the great partners who make this possible. Bowtech, Leupold, Onyx Maps, Go Hunt, Black Gold, Ripcord, Tight Spot, and Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls. I think I got them all. And if you want to get notified about this, I think the number, if I go from recollection properly, is 77453. If you text Randy to 77453, you're going to get notified whenever we go online. Oh, look at that. Cool. This is working great. Why do I need this laptop? So, a couple things. Yesterday was the Arizona elk deadline. If you missed it yesterday because you were thinking about Sweetheart Day today, it is Valentine's Day today? Michael's over there, yeah. He doesn't have a wife or a girlfriend, so I don't know how he'd even know. But yesterday was the Arizona deadline. January 31st was the deadline for Elk and Wyoming. So now we're going to start shifting more towards the next 3 states. And we told you that the next state is Utah, March 1st. We started talking about that last week. And then Monday of this week, just 2 days ago, Montana made their regulations, their non-resident application regs, available online. So you can go and apply for Montana. And that deadline is March 15th. And then just a few days after that, on March 21st, is the New Mexico deadline. We getting some cranky audio, Michael?
Yeah, it's just a little touchy.
All right. So we just want to give you all those reminders. Rob says, have you forgot Valentine's Day, Randy? Nope, I don't forget Valentine's Day. See, last week we ended it with the guy. I'm trying to remember the poor guy's name. I feel like I gave him too much grief. He was getting married in September. Well, I got married back in 1989. The Saturday closest to Valentine's Day was February 11th. I got married on February 11th. So my 29th anniversary was just the other day. Pretty hard to forget about one or the other. I mean, you walk into the grocery store and there's all the Valentine stuff, right? Oh, Randy, that means it's your anniversary. So whoever asked that, that's one piece of advice. No charge for that today. Randy, what's the best unit in Colorado for a first-time do-it-yourself archery elk hunter? Brian asked this. It depends on what experience you're looking for. Colorado has all kinds of different terrain types, elevations, limited entry, over-the-counter. I think most people are going to want to go and do the over-the-counter hunts because as non-residents, for some of the premium limited entry tags, we have to wait years, decades actually. And I'd rather go every year. If you want more of the lower country, some of the pinyon, juniper, oak, aspen mix country, you'd head kind of in the northwest part of the state. If you're looking for the super high alpine stuff, you'd go in the southwest around Durango and Pagosa Springs. Eagle, all those places are really, really high country. If you want something in between, you're going to look at the other units. But two things towards that. Colorado Parks and Wildlife has a great website. If you go and click on big game, I think it's elk information or elk statistics. It'll give you everything, the historical data about harvest rate, about herd size. And those are the things that I look for when I'm doing this, because I want to know what's the trend of the herd. Is it growing? Is it shrinking? What's the trend of the harvest rates? Is it increasing? Is it at least staying even? Or is it going down? If it's going down, maybe that's going to tell me something that I need to know. So I never tell anyone a specific unit. You know, to me, part of the fun of figuring it out is to go and actually research the units myself. So I try to tell people this is where you can find the information that will help you make that decision. Let's see, Randy, going to try my hand at muzzleloader in Colorado. Do you recommend Colorado? I've never muzzleloader hunted in Colorado. Read the regulations carefully. They have a lot of different rules in Colorado about what is allowed, what type of muzzleloader, whether sabots, as some people call them, whether or not they're allowed. So there's a lot of rules you really want to pay attention to in Colorado so that you don't get sideways with them. Some of the other states, you can use big magnification scopes, you can use anything, pelletized powder, you can use whatever you want. Colorado has a few more restrictions. So, hey Randy, I just bought a 308 for my first Western elk trip this fall. How far would you trust the Nosler trophy grade partitions in the 165s that you use to do the job? Well, that depends on a lot of things. I try to keep, no matter what I'm shooting, what cartridge, what bullet, I try to keep it under 400 yards. And I know with this 308 that I have right now, with that setup, so here's what my setup is. I have a Howa Alpine mountain rifle in a 308. It's got a Leupold VX5 HD scope on it. And the ammo I shoot is the Nosler trophy grade ammo, 165 grain partitions. And I know in Colorado a couple of years ago I shot a bull at 340 some yards, one shot. Actually, I did shoot it a second time, but it got deflected by brush. So the first shot did the trick. So I don't know. It really comes down to conditions, everything else. I'm not going to do anything that's crazy that seems to push the limits beyond what my talent is. I'm just about always the weak link. I've got really, really good gear. I am the problem if something goes wrong. I know that. I don't know, I'm human. I know there are some people who it's always the equipment's fault and is what it is. For me, no, I know my equipment is not it, and I'm going to do everything I can to get myself in that position where I'm comfortable that I'm going to do what the equipment is set up to do. It all falls on me. So, Randy, what do you think the draw odds with our price increase will do to draw odds this year? Wyoming had a big fee increase. Colorado usually has a little increase that keeps up with the consumer price index. I don't know. Mike asked that question. I'm not really sure. I always say, it's going to push people to other states. So I think in some states that had the big increases this year, it might make the odds a little better in those states, but people want to go elk hunting. So there's a good chance it's going to push it over to those applicants over to other states, so it might hurt the draw odds in those states. I guess it'll take a couple of years to kind of sort it out before we'll know. But, well, we are up and running here. Would you look at that? Ha! What a country, Michael.
Heck yeah.
Let's see. Chandra says, my husband showed me your series. I'm hooked. Randy, you're the best. Now, I really appreciate that, but if you really knew me, I'm like so below average at everything. I don't think you'd be really that impressed, but I'm glad your husband showed you this series and talked you into it. Ken says, you don't have to buy the permit to apply for tags in Colorado now. Something new. Good point. And we're going to get to that. I think it'll be in March we'll start talking about Colorado. But in Colorado in the past, you had to front the whole amount of tag money, $600 and some dollars. Now they're just going to make you pay an application fee, a much smaller amount up front to apply. So that's going to be a change. We just, last week, I think it was after we did our Elk Talk Live series, we opened or loaded up a YouTube video that had the Utah kind of, it has the elk part in it, but it has everything in it, not just elk. And so we've told people, here's exactly how it works in Utah. If this is what your application looks like with this many points, we walk through an entire example. And we do that using the system from Go Hunt. You hear us talk about it. And all of you watching, if you sign up for the Go Hunt Insider Service, they're going to give you $50 of free gear credit in their really cool gear shop. So that's worth something there to watch and sign up. And then also the folks at Onyx are giving us 20% off if you buy any of their app products. And it's people who watch this on either of those. You got to use promo code RANDY, R-A-N-D-Y, and you're going to be good to go. All right. You got any that, oh, here's one. This one, I think I saved this one from last week. Randy, do you use any of the companies or services that foot the bill for your tag applications and your points? All these points add up when applying to multiple states, as you well know. Yes, I do know. It does add up. But, and this is just my personal opinion, tag applications for me are way too important to hand them off to anybody else. Some of those services, one of the well-known services actually made a really big mistake, I think in 2008 or 9. They mailed all of their applicants to the wrong address, and all those people lost their bonus point, and it was to Arizona, and they lost their loyalty point. So I do them all myself. I'm just not gonna, there's no way I'm gonna hand that off to anybody and let them do it. So, oh man, this is crazy. Oh wow. Randy, first time do-it-yourself elk hunt, third rifle season over-the-counter Colorado. Which units are the hardest to hike, hunt? Let's see. Unit 13, Unit 4, Unit 441, Unit 35, or Unit 21. The only one of those I've hunted is Unit 21, and Unit 21 for Colorado was one of the easiest places to get around. I don't know about those other ones. So let's see. Would finding elk in Pennsylvania or Kentucky be good practice for finding elk out west? I live in Ohio and don't have time or budget to travel to Colorado every year, but I can take weekend trips to Kentucky and Pennsylvania. That's Bob talking. You know, I think in a general context it might be helpful, but in a specific context probably not. And here's why I say that. You will learn some basics, and it's what we always talk about, that elk have 4 basic needs: food, water, security, and seasonal need of breeding. So you'll learn, no matter where you're at, you will learn that elk have different needs at different times of the year. So their need in early September is going to be way different, almost reversed or mixed up differently, different priority, than it is in late November. Now, what that need or where they go to find that need in Kentucky or Pennsylvania might be different than where they go to find that or satisfy that need in Colorado or Wyoming. So I don't think it's going to apply that much, other than it's going to help you follow the principle of know what season you're hunting, early season, pre-rut, peak rut, post-rut, or late season, and determine what the needs are in the season that you're hunting or the season that you're out there looking for elk, and use that formula to go and find elk. And that applies no matter which season, no matter where you're at. Know their needs in the season that you're hunting them, and that will tell you where to go and find them, because they're going to go where they can satisfy those needs. I wish I could draw a Kentucky or Pennsylvania elk tag. That would be a lot of fun. Someone asks, are you guys not broadcasting live on YouTube anymore? Yeah, there's been a change and we're trying to sort it out, but the platforms we use makes us decide, are we going to do YouTube or Facebook? If one picks it up, the other drops it. So right now we're getting more views on Facebook, and it's easier for people to reach. And so that's why we're on Facebook and not on YouTube. So sorry about that. We're working on it. Hopefully it'll get fixed. Let's see. What do you got over there, Michael? I'm trying to get this document to pull up, and I'm not getting any love here.
Somebody wants to know what reticle you prefer on your scope, in illuminated or non.
What reticle do I have on my Leupold VX, whatever it is, 5 or 6 or 3i? What reticle do I have? And do I have illuminated or not illuminated? Well, I have a bit of everything. I have one that's illuminated. Most of my hunting scopes are not illuminated. And I always go for the standard duplex reticle. That's what my eye picks up better. As I'm getting older, the heavy duplex is starting to, sorry, I got to admit, my eyes aren't what they used to be. So that heavy duplex reticle my eyes seem to like it better. So let's see. Conrad wants to know, what states can you apply for points only without having to pay the full price up front? Wyoming, Arizona, Nevada, and Utah, you can buy points only, but you have to buy the non-resident license up front. So if you just want to send in the point fee and nothing else, Wyoming is pretty much your only option. Well, now Colorado. Starting this year, Colorado will be that way. So you'll apply, you'll send in the application fee, and if you don't draw, you'll get a point. So starting this year, there'll be 2 states like that. Okay. I answered that one last week, so we're not going to talk about it. When am I loading new seasons on Amazon? They're loaded. We're just waiting for Amazon to give us the thumbs up. So we have seasons 3, 4, and 5 of Fresh Tracks out on Amazon. If you're an Amazon Prime subscriber and you click on, you go out to Amazon Prime and you type in Randy Newberg, the Video Direct module is going to pop up and you're going to see all of our content there, and it's free on Amazon Prime. And all those episodes you see on Amazon Prime right now, if you're not a Prime subscriber, you can still watch them on our YouTube channel. So you got a couple options there. But the season 6 stuff, the first 2 things you're going to see on Amazon Prime is New Mexico elk hunt and Wyoming elk hunt. And I wish those would get approved. Let's see. How bad have the elk numbers been impacted in Wyoming with the bad winter and wolves? I don't know that they've been impacted that much. Wolves always have some effect. But if you look at the harvest stats of Wyoming, every year they're getting close to breaking the record for all-time harvest every year. So I would just go to Wyoming and go hunt. I wouldn't worry about elk. Are hardy animals. It's going to take a really, really tough winter to knock them down. I'd just do whatever I can to get the Wyoming tag and go after it. Let's see. Someone's asking about Utah General Elk. There are some General Elk tags in Utah. I've never hunted it. So if I were to, I guess, opine on anything, it would just be making it up. Oh, one other thing. For those of you who did a bunch of, asked a bunch of Colorado questions earlier, there is a place where you can, I'm pulling it up here. There's another guy, serious hunter. Some of you probably follow him. He does a live stream channel just like we do with Bowtech. His name is Nate Zielinski, and if you go out to the Bowtech Archery website and click on their Bowtech Live features, they have yesterday, Nate had one of the Colorado Parks and Wildlife people on there, and he was answering a ton of questions. So if you want more Colorado-specific stuff, go out to Bowtech Archery and click on the Bowtech Live tab up on the taskbar and go to Nate's stuff from yesterday. It was really good. And he had a lot of people watching, and he had experts there who know what they were doing. So that might answer some of the Colorado questions that we might not be able to get to. Oh, best opportunity state to hunt mule deer. Opportunity state for mule deer, Idaho. Unfortunately, Idaho had a killer winter, not this year, but the year before. So their numbers are down, but I think for over-the-counter opportunity and adding to that the potential quality, it's going to be really, really hard to beat Idaho. This year, Montana's having a tougher winter than the rest of the Rockies. A friend of mine just sent me a picture of what kind of snow they're dealing with in southeast Montana right now. And keeping my fingers crossed that it's not going to get any worse, because Montana, a lot of these states go through these peak cycles where you end up with no hard winters, so the numbers build and build, and then you get a hard winter and choom. Well, Montana, we're like 5 or 6 years away from a really hard winter. We dodged the bullet last year that hit Idaho and Wyoming. And I was hoping we could make it one more year, and maybe we will, but right now it's looking pretty tough out there in southeast Montana, which is kind of what we call our mule deer factory out there in southeast Montana. So what else you got, Michael?
Somebody wants to know what gear you'd recommend for early season Arizona archery deer hunt.
Early season Arizona archery deer hunt. What gear would I recommend? Something that is cool. And I don't know if he's talking about one of the Coues deer hunts or one of the early mule deer hunts. A lot of the mule deer hunts are going to be up on what's called the Mogollon Rim. It's a little higher elevation. It's going to be cooler. Use the same gear that you'd use anywhere else in the Rockies. But if you're going to go down south and do one of the Coues deer hunts, those in late August, early September, I think they start. The archery ones, I think, start in late August. Boy, that's going to be hot. Be ready to sweat. Oh, gosh. Boy, there are so many of them. Let's see. Onyx map rules. I agree. Someone's watching the Olympics and listening to the show. Well, I appreciate that, but, pause the Olympics, man. You can watch them anytime. Let's see. Are you Mike asks, thanks for the info, Randy. Are you going to do any videos for the process for a mule deer application in Colorado? Yes, we're going to get to that. The Colorado videos are going to be out in March. In this Elk Talk Live series, we're going to get serious about Colorado once we get through the deadlines for Utah, Montana, and New Mexico. So Montana, for those of you who are non-residents, it is as complicated as any state I can think of. So, and there's already some questions out here about, can you explain how Montana works? So in Montana, we have tags, and then we have permits. In a lot of states, they're synonymous. Well, in Montana, your elk tag or elk license is always a general license or general tag. And then once you have a tag/license for elk, you can then enter into the limited permit drawings. So it's almost like you got to jump 2 hoops to get the limited entry permit. First, you have to apply and get one of the Montana General Elk tags. And while you're doing that, it'll say, if drawn for this General Elk tag, would you also like to be in the limited entry permit drawing? And most people will say yes. So it's complicated, but that's how Montana does it. Again, the deadline is March 15th. You can now do it online as of Monday, so you should be good to go there. New Mexico is about as straightforward and easy as any state. They give you 3 choices. You go online, you establish an account. You have to buy a hunting license to start with. But when you check that box, I want a hunting license, down below there's another little box you can check that says, if unsuccessful, please refund me this license. So you'll get your $65 license fee back if you don't draw. and then you get to select 3 hunt choices that they'll look at. So they look at your 3, go on to the next person. Look at that person's 3, go on to the next person. They do ask for a 4th and 5th, but I always say not interested, because those are depredation hunts or damage control hunts or whatever. So I just do the 3 if applying in New Mexico, but it's really straightforward in New Mexico. Bryce Nelson just says Nate's live stream was awesome. I agree. Like I said, for those interested in Colorado, go to Bowtech Archery and look at Nate's site, or his live stream. Oh gosh. If you had a good spot in Colorado in which you have good harvest rates on bulls, not big, but occasionally 300 to 330 inch, and nice mule deer, would you go anywhere else to hunt? I'm not even going to read the rest of the question. No, I would not go anywhere else to hunt. If you are finding the occasional 300 to 330 inch bull on an over-the-counter unit, don't tell anyone about it. Just go there and hunt it. I wouldn't. I mean, a 300 inch bull is a really, really nice 6-point. Like this guy behind me, he's not 300 inches. A 330 inch bull, whew. I can't. I will never turn down a 330 inch bull. So if you're finding that stuff, get after it and don't tell a soul. There's a debate out on a website right now about fixed blade versus mechanical blade for elk. What are your thoughts? People have asked this many times. I'm a fixed blade kind of guy for a couple of reasons. One, mechanical blades, you are going to have the possibility of some sort of mechanical failure. That's why they call them mechanical blades. Also, some of the energy, however slight it may be, some of the energy is absorbed in opening, in getting the blades to, I guess, whatever term you want to call it. I call it opening. And most of the mechanicals that I've seen have really wide blades. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. And you will notice that a lot of the times when you have a really wide blade, you might get a wider wound channel, but you're not going to get near the penetration. And if you've ever seen how far an elk can go with only one lung punctured, and how little blood you're going to find if that arrow goes in and just hangs in there and almost acts like a cork, which can happen with some of these really wide, expandable mechanical blades, that's tougher. So that's why I use it. Plus, some states, I believe Idaho, still has the prohibition against mechanical blades. So some will say it's personal opinion. I think it is personal opinion, but my personal opinion is based on talking to guys who've arrowed a lot more elk than I have, and every one of them who are really, really good at it use fixed blades. So let's see. How often do I hunt over-the-counter tags versus controlled or limited entry hunts? Johnny's asking this one. Here's kind of our application strategy. My one friend Kurt says I carpet bomb the West, and we do. And when all those are done, we look and say, what do we get for tags? And then we start filling in with over-the-counter or general tags. Like in Montana, I'm lucky. I'm guaranteed an over-the-counter elk and an over-the-counter deer. So I can always fill in a couple slots with that. If the schedules allow, I'll fill it in with an over-the-counter elk tag in Colorado. We've used leftover or second choice deer tags in Wyoming. It just depends. We just got back from Arizona. Those were over-the-counter archery coos deer tags. Well, it's over-the-counter archery tag. Good for coos deer or mule deer in most of these southern units where we were hunting. So it just depends on what we draw for limited entry tags. And that's the strategy we're going to talk about here. You know, right now we're focusing on all these controlled hunt, limited entry hunts. But once those draws are done, we're going to talk about how do you still go elk hunting by taking advantage of the over-the-counter and general tags that are still available out there. Let's see. Holy smokes. You got anything over there, Michael? I'm trying to sort these. This is crazy.
When does Wyoming inform 2018 non-residents of elk draw results?
When does Wyoming inform people whether or not they drew this year?
Non-residents.
Non-residents. February 22nd, a week from tomorrow. And it's kind of funny. I'm guilty. That morning when the results are there, I'm hitting my keyboard, refresh, trying to find out my results. But you're going to find out on February 22nd. And I hope you drew. Just don't take my tag. So, my goodness. What state to focus on for archery mule deer 170 to 190 inches? I don't have an answer to that one. There's no state I know of do you consistently find 170 to 190 mule deer. I would say focus on the state that works for your budget and works for your schedule. The best mule deer hunting, I think, in the West, when you combine opportunity, season dates, length of seasons, weapon choices, Colorado, and add in cost, I think is Colorado. But it's all limited entry, so there is no general. If you're just talking general, I'd say Idaho, Nevada, unbelievable archery mule deer. So it's Toby says, I have 11 preference points for deer in Colorado. What would be a good unit? Oh my. If you got 11 preference points in Colorado, you have so many good units available to you. I would just find the one that works for you. Go to the Colorado. Well, if you subscribe to Go Hunt in the insider service, you're going to find the draw odds just by typing in 11 points. And then you can do all this sorting with they call it filtering 2.0. That's a really easy way. If you got the time and you want to go dig through every page of the Colorado draw information, you could go and see which tags have high demand and look and see, okay, this one's got high demand. Can I draw it with 11? Because usually the demand index tells you if it's a quality hunt. And by quality, I mean it's got good animals, high success rates, and lots of public land where access is not going to be a problem. Wow, 11 deer points. If I was sitting on 11 deer points, I'd be smiling. I'd be in Colorado this year, I can promise you that. Let's see. Have I thought about hunting with a suppressor? Yeah, I've really thought about it, I was down at SHOT Show last month and was talking to some people who manufacture suppressors. I was talking to Howa, the rifle company we use, about how their new barrels are going to be threaded to accommodate suppressors. My hearing is paying the toll for not having proper ear protection. But when I was in college, I worked in a sawmill without hearing protection, grew up in a logging family, ran chainsaws without hearing protection, so I can't blame it all on shooting. But I'm thinking that I'm going to consider it. Let's put it that way. At least for non-mountain hunts, when it's out on the prairie and weight isn't a concern. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get myself to do it because of the weight. I think the ones I was looking at weigh 10 or 11 extra ounces, which isn't a huge amount, but 10 ounces here, 8 ounces there, pretty soon you're talking about real weight. Let's see, Charles, Randy, where's the best place to buy Orion coolers? OrionCoolers.com, and use promo code Randy, and they're going to send you this really cool tumbler along with your cooler purchase. Boy, there are so many. You got any really good ones, Michael? I'm trying to sort through these all here.
What is your strategy in units where the elk move to private land during post-rut and late season hunting?
What is my strategy where elk move from public land to private land in late season and post-rut elk hunting? That is a dilemma. It happens a lot, and here's why. So that late season and that post-rut season are usually mid-October and later. And what happens in the Rockies is in September and early October, the elk are up here on the public because that's the higher country. It's, as a general rule, is public, where you're going to find most your private land is going to be down in the valleys. So hunting pressure and weather start moving the elk down in the valleys, and there they are. They're on the other side of the fence, no trespassing. And it's frustrating. I get it. My tactic is I go hunt sanctuary areas for the oldest, biggest bulls because it takes a lot of weather to move a bull. The cows and the young bulls and the spikes, they might be down low, which may put them on private. But usually, if I know where the migration corridors are, and it's not like these are narrow corridors in most instances, it might be, okay, they use this 2-mile wide basin to get to the winter range. I'm going to be hunting those areas that bring them from the summer range to the winter range. I know where they migrate, and I'm going to be hunting up higher than where I'm seeing any cows or young bulls. And you will find bachelor groups of old bulls in those places. And I glass. Post-rut, late season, all about glassing. I'm sitting there on my gold ring spotter, and that's all I do is glass the whole day long. And if I get cold, I start a fire. And I know some people think, Newberg, all you do is just sit around here. What's the deal? Well, that's the deal. I'm trying my best to find a bull elk in sanctuary mode, and hopefully it'll work. Oh my, I am. Do I think with the new application format in Colorado that there will be more applicants and you will likely need more preference points for some, if not most, the limited entry drawings? Nathan asked that. Yeah, I believe that's the case. Every state that has went from having to send in the full fee to only sending in a small application fee, the number of applicants goes way up and the draw odds go way down. We saw it here in Montana about 3 or 4 years ago. They said, rather than have to send in the full application fee for moose, goat, and sheep, including the tag fee, we're only going to make you pay a small application fee. The number of applicants went way up. The draw odds went down. So I think you're going to see that for sure in Colorado this year. If you're at a mid or 1 or 2 point level, maybe you're going to be just 1 point ahead of that kind of surge that's going to come through the Colorado system. Know that when you burn your points, you're going to be back here, and there's going to be a big pile of people in front of you. Just how it works. What else? You got anything, Michael? There's so many here.
Can you explain the A and B tags in Colorado, or in Idaho, I'm sorry.
A and B tags in Idaho?
Yeah.
I can't.
Okay.
But I will find that when we start talking about Idaho, I will have the answer to that.
What does shoulder season mean?
What does shoulder season mean? We talked about that the other day. Shoulder season is, they call it shoulder seasons because it happens in Montana on each side of the main general seasons. So our archery season starts usually first Saturday in September, runs for 6 weeks. We have a 1 week break, and then we have a 5 week rifle season. Always ends the Sunday after Thanksgiving. So that's our general season. The shoulder seasons are those, kind of like if the space of my head is the general season, the shoulder seasons happen on each side of that. That's why they call it shoulder seasons. I answered that question. People asked my opinion of that last week, and I said, I don't like it. So Josh wants to know, which hunt would be one of the better hunts in southwest New Mexico? Either game man at unit 16 or 15 for a first-time elk hunter, either rifle, bow, or muzzleloader to apply for. Well, the downside of that is the ones with the highest, just the best quality hunt where you're going to see tons of elk, good age class, and lots of public land are going to have the worst drawing odds. It's just, there's an inverse relationship to the quality of the hunt and the draw odds. So I don't know what to tell you. I've hunted 16A for archery, 16A for rifle. My son had 16C for rifle. I've hunted 16E for archery many times. I've had unit 17 for archery. They're all really good hunts. I would look at the one that you think fits your calendar. I'd maybe put the real tough, the hardest to draw one, which is always 16D, as my first choice. Maybe I'd put 16A, which is the second hardest one to draw, as my second choice. And then it's whatever else is my third choice, whatever my best draw odds are. There's no secret in New Mexico that 16D and 16A are the highest demand hunts in the Gila area, the Gila National Forest. So that's how I would do it. And I just keep my fingers crossed that I was one of those lucky guys. Let's see, Colorado or Wyoming for a first-time elk hunt to take a 15-year-old Nissan. Doubt we'll get to pack into backcountry, but we'll make camp at a trailhead and hike in the pre-dawn. Hard to go wrong with either one. There's great elk hunting on the public land in both states. I would look at what fits your calendar. What kind of weather do you want to hunt in? Some of the Wyoming hunts are October, some are early October, which I like those ones. And then some are in November. Colorado, you're looking at the second season, which is late October, like usually ends somewhere in the last weekend of October. And then you have third season, which usually is sometime in early November. Wyoming will provide you a higher quality experience in that it won't be as crowded. So with a new hunter, I would probably think about Wyoming over Colorado. But you also have to apply for the tag, and the deadline was January 31st. Which units in Wyoming would you bow hunt mule deer? Again, that's a little bit of a crapshoot because Wyoming, their mule deer season is mostly just September. I'm going to want a fallback plan where Wyoming doesn't really have archery hunts as a specific hunt code, and then rifle hunts as a different hunt code. They have type 1 tags. Just the majority of their mule deer tags are going to be type 1. And you either apply for a region or you apply for a unit. And if you draw, you can go and hunt the archery season in just about all the mule deer ones, and then you can come back in the rifle season. So that's a hard question to really say. I would go on the Wyoming Game and Fish website. They have a little tab right in the middle that says Hunt Planner. Click on that. You'll see harvest rates. You'll see all the important stuff of what you need. And then I would get my Onyx maps, and you can get this in either Onyx or Go Hunt. You can get the percentage of public land in that unit. That's another really big thing. In Wyoming, they have the little asterisk in the application booklet, a little asterisk, and if you look down to see what the asterisk means, it says access can be difficult in this unit. So if you draw, you want to make sure that you have a place to go and hunt. So I'd use all those tools to sort it out, pick an area, and just go. Right now, there's larger number of mule deer in central and eastern Wyoming than there is in western Wyoming. Western Wyoming had a brutal winter last winter, and their deer paid the price for it. So let's see. Again, we always want to make sure that everybody knows the great companies that allow us to bring this to you. Bowtech, Leupold, get yourself some optics. At SHOT Show, I got to play with all the new Leupold optics. Their new BX5 Santium 10x42 binoculars, I used them in my Coos deer hunt down in Arizona. You're going to like those. Who else? We got Tight Spot, Ripcord, Black Gold, Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls. Go to buglingbull.com. Onyx Maps. Go to onyxmaps.com. Get yourself some hunt apps. Use promo code Randy. Save 20%. And then the last one is Go Hunt. And you'll see a lot of the videos we're doing right now. Go Hunt is our primary application tool. And a lot of our YouTube videos we're doing talk about Go Hunt because it's such an amazing service. So if you sign up for their insider, use promo code Randy, you're going to get yourself $50 of free cash, like money to use in their gear store. Okay, you got anything more going over there, Michael? We're in the many hundreds of questions here.
Being an eastern whitetail hunter, I've never had elk meat. Are cows, younger bulls better eating than a mature bull?
So the person is an eastern hunter, said they've never eaten elk meat. Are cow and young bulls usually better table fare than old bulls? As a general rule, yeah, that's the case. They're going to be more tender. Some people will say that right after the rut, these old bulls get a little bit gamier. I've never had real gamey elk. I've had some elk that was a little tougher. But the younger bulls, I've shot plenty of raghorns, and they are tremendous eating. It's kind of like deer, right? Do you want to shoot the old buck for table food, or do you want to shoot the young alfalfa fed doe or the young buck? Same thing applies. We're going to eat it all, but if it's strictly the food quality you're looking for, not the other reasons we hunt of challenge and exercise and just everything else, if it's strictly food, go shoot a cow. I encourage people, go cow hunting. There's nothing to be bashful about, nothing to hang your head about when it comes to hunting cow elk. It's you're going to be glad you did. Let's put it that way. Okay. Boy, there's so many of them. Now they're scrolling so fast I can't read them. I get ready to answer a question and it scrolls past. You're going to have to shoot me more, Michael.
Where can you get info on migration maps for states?
Okay, where can you get info on migration maps for states? So Colorado has an interactive hunting atlas, which if you go to the Colorado Parks and Wildlife website, they're the only one that really has it mapped to say, here's the migration corridors. They'll have maps that show, okay, in this unit, here's the winter range, here's the summer range. Here's the migration areas to get there. They have the best mapping for that. All the other ones, I don't know where those maps exist online, but you can usually call biologists, whether it's for the Game and Fish Agency or sometimes the Forest Service, sometimes the BLM, and you'll get that same information. But those people are inundated with phone calls. Once draw results come out, how would you like to be a biologist for a unit and have 600 phone calls the next morning and try to get your job done plus answer all those phone calls? So and some of it's self-explanatory. I mean, you after you hunt elk a little bit, okay, in the summer range they're looking for the best feed. In the winter range they're looking for the best feed. What's the best summer food? What's the best winter food? And what's the connector to get them there? And that's, I know I'm oversimplifying, but that's really what these migration corridors are going to be. Randy, are you doing a giveaway hunt this year? We've been talking about it, but it's got so many complications that we haven't decided if we're going to do it yet. We did 2 of them, and no matter what you do, somebody gets upset. We had a lot of people who complained about our sweepstakes hunt. I'm like, okay. Fortunately, Tom and Justin, who drew them, they didn't complain, but we're thinking about it and we're working on it, but we haven't decided yet. But you will know when we do it, if we do it. So Johnny asked, do you apply for Idaho moose tags? Yes, I've applied, I think, 13 or 14 times for moose in Idaho. Since we have no point system, does that change which tag you would apply for, since the better tags are harder to draw, or do you apply for a lesser tag with better odds? I apply for lesser tags with better odds. And that's where you're going to see, as we're doing these series about how to draw tags and how to hunt elk every year, I'm really not someone who gets worked up about, I got to have the glory tag or the tag that everyone talks about. Just give me a tag, some public land, and let me go. And I don't care if it's moose, if it's deer, elk, antelope, doesn't matter to me. I just want to go. So I apply for the units with lower odds. Let's see, Outdoors Hunter, should I worry about getting an elk affected by CWD? In CWD endemic areas, yeah, you should be getting it tested. You should look. A friend of mine from Minnesota shot one just outside of Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado, and he got it tested and came back positive. So, and some people say, well, CWD's never been transmitted to a human. Maybe it hasn't, but I don't want to be the guinea pig to try to find out. Let's see. Holy cow. Asking me, let's see. Are you coming to Arizona for the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation Elk Camp? Yes, I am, Nick. I'll see you there. David Barrett. Does Onyx map have a Dairy Queen locator? No, but next week I should wear it. So on Instagram, Dairy Queen follows 85 people on Instagram. And last 2 weeks ago, they started following me on Instagram. I'm like, I've made it. Dairy Queen follows me on Instagram. That is like the epitome of success where I grew up. And so they sent me this whole package they sent me a hoodie with a big Dairy Queen logo that's camouflaged. I should auction that off and give the money to conservation or something. And then they gave me a Dairy Queen card. Out in my car right now, I've got 6 Dairy Queen cards. I got a problem. Michael, where do we stop when we're on the road?
Dairy Queen.
Dairy Queen. Yeah. I can sit out in the truck and Michael knows, hey, when I go in there, Randy wants a medium chocolate extreme with chocolate ice cream. Which state would you recommend for pronghorn hunting for someone who has no points? Wyoming. It's got more pronghorn than anywhere in the world. And if you really want to roll the dice and you got the money, try New Mexico. There's no point system there. The downside is the draw odds are really, really, really tough. Which state hosts the most non-resident hunters? I would bet that's probably going to be Colorado. Probably be a toss-up. If not Colorado, then Montana, but I think it's going to be Colorado. Let's see. Where do I live? I live right here, beautiful Bozeman, Montana. No, I'm not going to answer that question. That's a stomach ache there. Have I ever drawn a Montana Unit 380 bull permit, which is the highest demand elk tag in Montana? It's called the Elk Horns. I've never drawn it because I've never applied there. Like I said earlier, I just want to go hunting, so I apply in places where the odds are way better that I'm going to get one of these limited entry permits. Like where I applied in Wyoming this year, it's people 2 years ago or 3 years ago, you could draw it with 0 points. There were some leftover tags. So I'm just, again, like I said, give me some places to go, and that's what I want. Oh, here's one. Ryan has a question. And I talked to my brother about this last week. What states are no-brainers for youth hunters to either hunt or accumulate points? So New Mexico has the best elk hunts for youth of any state I know, both in terms of their cow hunting, and then they have some of their best bull elk units are youth-only hunts. The downside is, unlike Wyoming and a few other states that give you a discounted fee for these youth hunts, New Mexico does not. So if you're looking just based on quality of the elk hunt, I'd say New Mexico, but plan on paying a lot. If you're looking for states that give youth hunts some discount, Idaho, Wyoming, I think Montana we even do a youth hunt price, a different price for youth. So it really depends on, are you looking to just take that young hunter hunting, or do you want to take them on some top-notch elk hunt? Well, the top-notch, you're going to want to go to New Mexico. The odds are really low, and it's going to cost you a chunk of money. Randy, are you going to the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers Rendezvous in April? Yep, I'll be in Boise. I'll be easy to find. I'm not allowed to drink alcohol, so I'll be the only sober guy there probably. Oh, this is so funny. Randy, how many crew members does it take to pull off your TV show? Sometimes it's just me and a camera guy. Sometimes it's me and 2 camera guys. Sometimes it's 2 hunters and 2 camera guys. So I guess anywhere from 2 to 4. But on our crew here, should we put out the call that we're looking to hire somebody, Michael?
Looks like you just did.
We're hiring another camera person. We are just like so busy. We got so much going on. Our sponsors are asking for more of Randy, more of this public land stuff, more of our talk on equipment, more Elk Talk Live. So we're going to be posting a job announcement for a camera operator. What's the technical term? Videographer? So then we'll have a crew of full-time crew of 4. But that doesn't count my wife, who is kind of a part-time run-it behind the scenes when I'm on the road. It doesn't count my son Matthew, who's like a part-time. He's got all this computer engineering degree and this MBA and all this stuff. So he runs kind of the direction of, hey, we're going this way, we're going that way. I just show up, smile, tell stories, and see what happens. So what's that? We'll be at a full-time crew of 4 to produce this operation. One guy, I'll run a camera for free just to go on one of your hunts. No, we don't want someone who's going to be here for one hunt. We need someone who wants to come and live in Bozeman, Montana, and have to go and sleep out in the mountains for 70, 80 days a year in a tent, and probably another 20 or 30 days a year at a motel, and has to follow us around with a camera doing this stuff all the time, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, whether it's steep, whatever. So someone says, on our way to Bozeman, cameraman in training. I guess we shouldn't have done this, Michael. It was like on the podcast, when we hired Michael, we put word out on our Hunt Talk radio podcast that we were hiring somebody. And within a week, I had over 200 emails. I'm like, oh no, now I got to respond to all these people. We got some lawn boy guy here, Bart, who says, I'll do it, pick me. I'm sick of my day job. I don't think he wouldn't even have to move, I don't think. Randy, would you bow hunt the Wise River area end of September or first week of October? Talking about Montana, I'd probably do it the end of September. But whatever works your calendar, but I'd do it. Randy, would it be possible to get an antelope tag every year? Yes, it would. Colorado and Idaho, there are archery tags. Some of them you're pretty much guaranteed. It's almost like over the counter. Montana, the archery antelope tag is really easy to draw. Wyoming has leftover tags every year for some of the rifle units, and you can go and hunt them with a bow if you want. Those will have some access issues, but it's very possible to hunt antelope every year. Let's see. Any specific tips for a RP cow tag in Wyoming? I don't know what an RP cow tag is. I'm sorry. Oh, reduced price. Oh, I bet you that's what that means. Any specific tips? Well, there will probably be some in the leftover draw. If you would have applied for them by the January 31st deadline, you're just about guaranteed to get them. And usually there's a few of them left over. And I think those go, I think you can get in on that in early July, if I remember right. So, Randy, what's the weather and snow in the high country been like in Montana so far this year? Brutal. We are at 100, and last I looked, depending on which mountain range it is, anywhere from 100 to 150% of snowpack. Yeah, if we keep getting nailed, and here in the valley, we're supposed to get 1 to 2 inches tonight, 3 to 5 inches on Friday, and another 3 or whatever inches on Saturday night and Sunday. And if we're getting 6-8 inches here in the valley, we're getting 1 foot to 2 feet up in the mountains. So fingers crossed that winter's not going to be as brutal as it is. We're starting to get through the worst of it. Hopefully we don't get one of those really, really cold snaps, but we can. And if we do, it's going to be tough. Let's see. Oh my goodness. So let's see. No, we can't answer those. Randy, what's the best tactic to hunt elk September 2nd through the 12th during 90-degree heat? David asked that one. Whew, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one because the elk aren't really bugling yet. So running and gunning, chasing bugles is going to be hard. You're in that pre-rut period for the most part. You get to September 12th, you're getting to the peak rut. But the early part of that, it's going to be tough. You're going to have to, and this is where a lot of the Midwest whitetail guys come out west. And when they do the best is in early September. They they tree stand and ground blind these elk. They pattern them because they know their needs. Okay, they're going to come in water, they're going to come and feed, and then they're going to go bed somewhere. And they get in on those trails and set up in favor of the wind, and they are remarkably successful. Someone like me who doesn't have the fortitude to sit in a tree stand or sit in a blind, I struggle that time of year. So I just look at how some of these Midwest guys come out here and have really good success that time of year, and I'm just saying, maybe I should tree stand hunt, or maybe I should hunt water holes when it's 90 degrees, but I don't. That's probably why I don't kill many elk that time of year. Thoughts on CWMUs in Utah, Cooperative Wildlife Management Utah units in Utah. My thoughts on them? As a personal opinion there. So, Randy, let's talk llamas. What's your next llama dream? So, you're going to see so much llama hunting. We're not hunting for llamas. You're going to see us using llamas for our hunting so much this year. If you saw some of the stuff we did last year, we rented llamas from our buddy Bo Beatty down in Idaho Falls. He owns Wilderness Ridge Trail llamas, and we were down there 2 weeks ago. I was drafting our team. Yeah, we're going to have at least 4 llamas for the majority of the season. And we're going to do a lot more work with them. We're going to give people a lot more ideas of how they can be used, just everything. Yeah, everything that you've often thought, well, I'm not going to do that. It's just too much work. Llamas solve that problem. I'll just leave it at that. How many hunts will we use them on this year? I don't know. John asks, thoughts on distance from the trailhead before you are bringing a tent in. If I'm hunting within 3 miles of a trailhead, I'm doing that walk every day. If I'm hunting further than 3 miles from a trailhead every day, I'm probably going to go set up a base camp. So, when a bull holds up around the 60-yard mark, how do you get him to come in? Boy, I wish I had the answer to that question. That's hard. It happens, doesn't it? It happens so often. They heard something or they saw something that caught their eye. Or they've been called in a couple times this year and they're like, something just isn't right. Or they start coming in and the wind, they just don't trust the wind based on where the sound is. They can't get downwind of the sound where they know that sound is, so they just hang up. That's tough. That's why a lot of times if you're solo and you're calling, once you call, you need to be moving. You need to move downwind of the path you think that elk's going to come. And if he's going to hang up at 50 or 60 yards, you want to be downwind somewhere out there. That's a tough one to solve. But you just got to keep after it, keep doing it, and sooner or later, one of them's going to work. Bryce has the easy answer. Take Corey Jacobson with you to call him in. You've seen Corey on our show, and yeah, he is the guy. Thoughts or insight on Arizona's non-permit tags for limited population management zone hunts? I know where those units are. Those non-permit tags for elk are, don't waste your time. That's my personal opinion. That's different than their limited opportunity hunts. Non-permit is you can just go by the tag and you can hunt. They're trying to get the elk out of there. Limited opportunity, they're trying to keep elk at a certain number. And last year I shot a bull in Arizona on a limited opportunity hunt. So how far is too far to walk in and get an elk out? Depends on steepness of the terrain, depends on the temperature. We've packed some elk out that are, I'm trying to think, what's the furthest we've probably packed one out? On our backs, probably about 4 miles. I'm not saying you can't do it further than that, but once you get a big bull elk on the ground, and you're looking at packing that, and we've got all of our camera gear, all of our production gear, I don't want to pack one any further than that, so... How we doing, Michael? You got any slam dunk, last one, just the best one of the night that we need to work on?
I wouldn't say the slam dunk, but I got a couple.
All right, what do you got?
Looking at hunting bison would you have any concerns using a 30-06 with a 180 grain nozzler Accubon?
For a bison hunt, would a 30-06 with a 180 grain nozzler Accubon be adequate? Yes, very adequate. We went out, helped a friend of mine one year. He was using a 308 with, trying to remember what he had. I think he had 165 grain partitions. And he hit that bison, down it went. 30-06, 180 grain Accubon, nozzler, trophy grade ammo. I mean, the nozzler bullets, you guys know I shoot them. I shoot a lot of the Accubon. I shoot a lot of the partition and the E-tips. Hard to beat. You're gonna be just fine with that setup. Someone asked, Randy, do you really pay someone to hunt with you? No, I don't. All of our guest hunters, we'll pay for their tags and travel, but we're not paying them an hourly or daily salary to hunt with us. The camera crew, they get paid. I don't get paid, but the camera crew gets paid. So, ain't that right, Michael? Isn't that how this thing works?
That's right.
Randy, do I reload for my 308s? I don't. We did a whole series on our YouTube channel. We went out to Nozzler, and Dakota walked us through. He built me a 308 round that he hand loaded, and we worked it up. And it's like 7 or 8 videos. It was very, very informative. I learned a lot doing that. I'm going to be back out there, and I don't know when we're going, but the camera crew's coming with, and we're going to do a bunch more stuff talking about nozzler bullets, how speed, how impact, or distance, all that changes impact, what the bullet does on impact, all kinds of cool stuff that hopefully will answer some questions, especially for those of us who hunt big, tough animals like elk. So, all right, I'm going to answer this last question, but before I do, I want to again thank Bowtech, Leupold, Ripcord, Tight Spot, Black Gold, Onyx, Go Hunt, Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls. Get you some of these. They make this possible. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to do it. And we're having a ton of fun with it. I was just telling some of these people, some of the partners, that this is one of the funnest things I do every week. Wednesday night, I get to sit here and just answer all kinds of questions and interact with people. It's a ton of fun. So I'm very thankful that this many people will watch it. But the last question is, let's see. Maybe I should answer this one. Tyler, if I take one of my employees with me on a hunt, can I write the trip off as a work expense and all of our gear? I'm a CPA. I'm a tax accountant in my other life. So when I'm not doing this, I'm disinheriting the federal treasury, right? So that's why Tyler thought, well, I'll ask Randy this question. The answer to that question is no, you cannot. Nice try, but no, you cannot. If you do it, expect a love letter if ever you get audited. That's what we call audit letters, is love letters. You don't want a love letter. And the answer to that is no, you can't write that off. And bummer. Oh, the last one, Charles. Randy, you going to the Total Archery Challenge in Big Sky this July? I want to. My only complication is a lot of times my summer board meetings for the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation are on the same weekend. Last year, they were a weekend apart. If those don't overlap, I will be there, and I hope you will also. Thanks for watching, folks. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next week.